Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Superficial Spirit. It's me, Peter Breeze. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. I really appreciate it. Today, I'm talking to another friend of mine and actually somebody who's kind of famous, which is exciting. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, somebody that I was involved in nightlife with, and we were talking about how so many people start out in that community with the intention of becoming really big fucking stars. Maybe not even directly involved in nightlife, but like moving to the big city, being out at night, you know, being an artist, being a dreamer and following your dreams. And as time goes on, different things happen. You know, some people spiral out of control. Some people, you know, find a new path, they fall in love and they move away from the community. And some people take it all the way. They move, their reputation and their talent surpasses their little communities, and they end up breaking it onto TV, radio, the music industry, whatever it is that they're pursuing. And my next guest is one of those people. I met him so long ago. Oh my God. We'll get into where we first met when I bring him on, but you will recognize him maybe from TV, from doing shows across Canada. He's a really funny guy. He has his own special on Crave. He's hilarious. He's a good friend of mine. He lives out in the boonies, Henny. And I'm really excited to have him here. So let's bring him on, Mr. Darcy Michael, all the way from Ladner, I think. I think it's Ladner. The big D, the big D, the big D, Darcy.
Yo, girl. Hey, Peter Bree.
Hi, how are you, Hanny?
I'm good. How are ye?
I'm good. It's so nice to see you.
You know, it's been forever.
Your place looks so good.
Oh, this little shindig. What? This is
I
just
didn't
our
know that.
first.
Yeah,
I
I
was gonna
didn't
say
know
this is
that.
our living
Yeah.
room number one. We have a second one, but you don't.
Oh, it's because you live out in the boonies. You got a big castle out there.
Yeah, boonies pay, boonies pay.
It's in Ladner, right?
Yeah. I'm in Ladner. It's a little farm country, but we make do.
That's actually on your Wikipedia. Did you know that? Because I was reading it before this, and it was like Darcy lives in Ladner, and I was like,
I've
wow.
never seen my Wikipedia.
Yeah,
It's probably
it
full
says
of bullshit.
under your personal life, it says Darcy lives in Ladner with his husband Jeremy and is openly gay.
Doesn't say anything about my dog.
No, oh, it does mention your daughter though. No dog, but it does mention your daughter. I forgot that part.
I'll be setting someone free on that Wikipedia later to update because considering the fact that my dog has more fans on TikTok than I have on all my socials combined, she probably should get her own wiki.
Are you on TikTok?
I'm not. Yuma is.
Okay, good. Like, I can't believe that I'm already at an age. I mean, I'm in my early 30s. I feel like there's a social media platform that I've outgrown. I'm too old.
It's ridiculous. It's actually highly addictive. So I only go on to like edit or post a video for Yuma's account, but it's very time consuming. There was times at the beginning of COVID where like if I didn't set a timer, like an hour would go by and I'm like, I've just watched nothing but twinks dancing and dogs humping each other. It's the greatest app ever invented.
Yeah, I'm so impressed at the amount of time people take to make these little videos because I mean, when I was fucking 16, I did not have the patience. I would like the videos I watched, they're so entertaining, but I'm like, this must have taken 5 hours. The
Oh,
different outfits, the different
100%.
locations, all the fucking makeup, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild, but some of them are making bank, so good for them.
I know, like these 17-year-olds becoming millionaires. Like, how? Like, it's
If
crazy.
only.
So how has COVID been for you? I saw you last time I saw you, we were both in Toronto. We caught up on the street as we normally do on the
Yeah, what's
street.
up? You was walking, I was walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a year ago, right?
Oh
More than.
God. Yeah, probably
Yeah,
because
because I
it's
haven't
been
been.
6 months of this.
Yeah, I haven't been to Toronto since last June, so that's wild. Yeah, that's probably the longest we've gone, PB.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
long time.
COVID has been fantastic.
Oh,
I embraced the guilt-free living of just doing a very simple life. Like because truth be told, like after I saw you last year, I took a year off. Like in July last year, I was like, I'm taking a year off. I just want to kind of reassess, kind of get myself grounded, and figure out what I want to do next. And so I had all these plans to start touring in July of this year, and then COVID hit in March, and I was like, great. Like now, before COVID, I felt really guilty about just being like home, and like Jared and I went to Europe for a month and just doing all these selfish things, and then COVID hit, and I was like, wait, like it's gardening season, and I've got a puppy, and the sun is out, and I don't have to force myself to see people I don't want to see. Oh, it's yeah. I really have been just loving every day. But now life's getting back to normal. I'm like, God damn it.
I think you're so lucky that you were already planning on taking time off and then this happened. That's
Yeah.
like, I mean, that is a huge, huge blessing. Why were you thinking of taking some time off?
I just I kind of got to a point like where I didn't really have anything I wanted to say for a while, especially like on stage. I was just like, I kind of just didn't, I ran out of gas. I was like, I just need to go, like especially because I'm so, everything about what I talk about on stage is autobiographical. But when I was working all the time, I wasn't living, so I didn't have much to
Oh my
say.
God.
And so I was
Interesting.
like, I need to go out and do some shit. Like, I need to go out and have a life and stuff. But instead, I just put on 30 pounds and a smile.
Oh, you look great. You look
Oh,
amazing. It doesn't look
whatever.
it.
It's so funny. The one thing that went away right away with not performing was the care to be like super fit. Because you've known me in all shapes and sizes. I'm like the
Yeah.
Oprah of comedy. And so like there's been a long time that I really cared about making sure I was hitting the gym for an hour and a half every day and making sure I was watching what I ate and stuff. And I'm not saying I completely gave up on that, but I certainly stopped worrying about getting my beard trimmed and my hair cut and like what I was wearing that day. Like if you see me in Ladner, man, sometimes people fully call me out. I'm walking around in Crocs and ripped track pants. Like, what's up?
Ripped
Farm
track
boy
pants?
is
Not
here.
even
Oh
ripped
yeah.
jeans?
No, I'm talking like shredded track pants by the puppy, like
Oh
we
my
got
God.
Yuma in November and she destroyed my entire wardrobe between November and February, and then COVID hit and I was like, well, this is what I got.
That's crazy. I mean, you said something interesting too about how you have all this material from living your life and then you hit a point in your career where you're just going, 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 and you kind of lose that real life material. And I've always thought that about pop stars. Like when Lady Gaga first came out, for example, there was so much depth and almost like desperation in what she was creating because she wanted so bad to become an icon. And then
100%.
slowly, the longer people are in the spotlight, the more they lose their sparkle and the harder. Like, what do you sing about to your 20-year-old fans who have no money when you're, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars and you
Well,
have people to do things for you,
100%. Like I remember getting the chills from her, like her Madison Square Garden concert when she would
Uh,
point up into the rafters, and she's like, "That used to be me. I used to be
huh.
up there." But then when you're saying the same thing 10 years later, and it's like, "Bitch, you're wearing $1,000 worth of shoes right now. Like you check out." It's tricky. You know who's done it well is Adele. She keeps, like she takes those breaks and then she gets married and then she gets divorced. This next album is gonna be great.
Oh my
Like
God,
it.
it's true.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like there has to be a balance. But obviously, like in Canada, like when you're working, you've got to just take every gig you get. So it just became like, there was no time to stop and actually live a life. Other than like Jared and Grace and I always made sure we like would go on a family vacation and stuff every year. But I don't want to talk about that on stage. Like I just want things to happen organically that really like click.
Do you give yourself, like, in your mind when you were going to take a year off, you thought, if I just live my life for a year, that will recharge my inspiration, give me a bunch of stories, and then go straight back to work kind of thing?
That's what the original plan was. I don't necessarily know what the plan is now. I have really found comedy's therapy, you know, like it really has been. It is a form of healing, of getting things off my chest and stuff. But I found I'm I this is hard to say, but I'm happier. I'm happier not performing right now. And like that's very selfish to say because obviously I'm happy. I'm not working. I don't have to worry about like crunching out numbers all day. I don't have to worry about getting on flights and having like pre-show anxiety. Performance
Oh
was
my God.
like my show anxiety was next level. You know, like so it got to a point where I just wasn't enjoying it. But then, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do next.
Yeah, there is a kind of unhappiness, or at least for me, the process of following my dreams was when I was in my 20s and I went to LA and then I went to Vancouver. There was such an emptiness inside of me that I desperately needed to fill, and that fueled me, and it just like propelled me forward at a million miles an hour. And I find the happier that I get and the more settled, the less desire I have to like shout and scream and make everybody look at me or even leave a mark. Like I don't need it because I love myself and I love, I have Evan. But there is like the happier you get, it's like, that ambition or
Well,
that drive, it changes.
well, and so do your dreams, you know, like there's things I dreamt about when I was 20 that I'd laugh at now. And part of those dreams when I was in my 20s was, being this kind of huge superstar. And then like I had the benefit of meeting and working with a lot of really great superstars. And I started to notice just a little bit of emptiness, a little bit of loneliness, especially the ones that were, that were really famous that couldn't, come and join us for a quick drink at a bar without it
Yeah.
being a thing. And I was like, well, wait a sec, like, is that what I want, to be like stuck in my hotel room while my friends go out because I don't have enough security today to do this? So it just, those kind of things, I was like, okay, like, yes, like I turned 40 this year. I know it's disgusting.
Her.
Oh, she hates it. She hates it.
Why?
Oh
Honey, 40s are
God,
the new teens.
yeah, that's what Oprah said. Oh,
So I feel like when I was growing up and when I got to Vancouver and I just started out on my creative journey, there were so many people that I met. You just go in, you have expectations for yourself. But one thing that I never considered was that the people that I was encountering were also, huge dreamers, and people started breaking out from nightlife, from the, small LGBT community that we were part of, because we would do these community events that were great, but they were, they were small events. And then
yeah.
eventually they get bigger and bigger, not for everybody, but slowly people start breaking out and, your dreams start materializing in the real world. And you were one of those people that I saw break free. And it was so cool to watch. Like you lost a bunch of weight. And then I feel like it exploded. Like there was a physical
Yeah,
transformation and then your life changed.
yeah, I think the physical transformation was for me at the time, I think it was what was holding me back, like just to believe in myself a bit more. Like I always believed in my talents and stuff, but there was something that's always held me from taking those bigger risks and putting myself out. And then I just got this confidence that I'd never had. I was always just like a short little fat kid. And then, I found some motivation and I got fit. And in that time, I started just taking bigger risks, putting myself out there. I did this not stupid, actually, it changed my life. I did a comedy competition for Sirius XM radio, and
Yeah.
part of that was winning a gig with Russell Peters. And then from there, Russell just started giving me more and more gigs opening for him. I booked the SITCOM. That was a couple years of really fun stuff. And then just for laughs, obviously, in Montreal has been a huge proponent of my success because they gave me tapings every summer, and then I did the 1 hour special for Crave last year. I think it came out maybe.
Yep.
But it was wild because I still would go into the West End and like hang out with everybody, and
Oh, I remember.
it was wild
Yeah.
everything kind of happened, but also still being able to come home and chill out with everybody.
When you were, before you started on your weight loss journey, did you like have a moment where you're like, man, like I'm not where I'm at in my career. I need to lose weight and everything will change? Or what
No, it
happened?
was the opposite. It was the opposite. My biggest fear was always that I wouldn't be funny skinny. It's something that you probably wouldn't understand, but it's something like bigger comedians, bigger actors. No, but it's like, like would Roseanne have been funny if she was 110 pounds? I don't know.
Right.
And so as a comic, it was like, like I always looked up to John Candy and Chris Farley and those bigger guys. And I always thought there was really some beauty in their size because they were able to do things like John Candy was a leading man, for Christ's sake. It's never
Yeah,
really
Uncle Buck.
happened again. For sure. Uncle Buck, Summer Rental, like Great Outdoors, all these other movies. So there was always that fear that stopped me from doing it. And then in 2010, I got diagnosed with with colon cancer, but a very small, like they were able to go in and cut it out right away. But at the time, Grace was, oh my God, she was 11. And just the idea of like having to come home and tell Grace that I was sick, I was just like, like I was also, the reason I was sick was because of my, my lifestyle. Like it was definitely from what I was eating, from how I was treating my body. And I was like, this has nothing to do with work. This has everything to do with the fact that I chose Jeremy and Grace to be my life partners. And now, I could be taking away their potential by hurting them. And so it kind of woke me up. And at the time, like my Jer and Grace and my friend Carl and my friend Dustin, all just kind of encouraged me. I have rheumatoid arthritis, right? So it's something I've dealt with since I was 17. And I was always told like, exercising is gonna be bad for my joints, all this stuff. And so with my friends and the help of my doctors, we just devised this plan where I'd walk the seawall every day until my knees hurt. And then I would take one step further and we'd go and then we'd stop. And so it was literally one step further every day until it was 7 months later. And I was doing the full 10Ks around the seawall. And I had dropped like maybe 30 or 40 pounds. And then I was like really taking that weight off my body. My body really just started to like recover to the point that for up until this year, I hadn't taken any medication for my arthritis.
What?
Yeah, like I completely went off of it. I was biking and swimming and running almost every day because I lost 120 pounds.
That's amazing. That's crazy.
It
That's
was
a
pretty
lot of
wild.
work.
I lost a human being. I lost
Yeah, that's
you
like
off of my body, which is so funny because
that
I've been
keeps
trying to
wanting.
get you back on there all this time.
Yeah,
uh,
that's impressive. I mean, like I know I've seen the weight loss journey of people around me, and I know that it's not easy. And I can't imagine being somebody who is pursuing a career that is so focused on you, like how you
yeah.
look. And you bring up a good point about comedians. They make fun of themselves. So it almost is a service to your art if there's something about you
Oh,
that's a little odd,
my
right?
at the time, my entire act was where, because especially in 2009, 2010, all I was doing was touring the country for like small comedy club chains. So I was going to like Lethbridge, Alberta. I was going to like, London, Ontario. And my whole act at the time was the first 15 minutes or so into the show, I wouldn't come out. I would just tell these stoner jokes and like, just, like all drug related jokes. And because I was a big burly bearded
Yeah.
dude. And then I would come out to the audience and it
And they're
always
like,
was like, yeah, like it was always just this really kind of magical moment for me. And a lot of the time watching the audience question, they're like, well, we liked him before, but now that we know he's a homo. And so I was like, and then a lot of my jokes were about being overweight and being, like not your typical gay. So it took a while for me to be able to let that part go. But once I did, I was like, man, like, it was only my goodness, maybe 2 years ago, I stopped talking about my body on stage because I realized
Wow.
how much it was fucking me up talking about it. Like, even when I was skinnier, I was still making jokes about, like balding and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what
Oh,
is
wow.
better for myself is to not put that onus on myself and to just, embrace it, but not make fun of it.
So is it healing to find something that you're insecure about, make a joke about it, and have the audience laugh with you? And in that moment, it's like, oh, I feel a little bit better. But then you're also just bringing attention to it. And it's like,
Yeah,
you
I don't
know,
necessarily. I think a lot of the time, yes, the audience laughing with you, but at the same time, they're kind of laughing at what you're pointing out, and so there was always this part of me that I was like, is that healing, or is it
yeah.
just putting up a guard saying, you can't make fun of me for this because I've already made fun of myself, and then realizing, like, if you need to make fun of something that has to do with my physical appearance, that's on you. Because, like, we raised our daughter to not worry about what her body looks like, and to worry about what her spirit looks like, like that.
Oh, that's great.
That's the important thing. And yes, there's nothing wrong with getting your hair dyed and piercings and tattoos. Obviously, you celebrate who you want to be and stuff, but it isn't what should define you. And I'm 40 years old and I'm still fighting that battle.
Oh my God. I know, like when I was in the club scene, what you just said really rang true about if I bring my insecurity to the forefront first, you can't make fun of me. And my whole shtick was like, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. I like party animal. And I wanted to be like Courtney Love times a million. And
Yeah,
I
you
thought
did.
the trashier I was, the better the more comfortable I was with people looking at me because it was a spectacle. But then towards the end of like my partying days, that was my biggest insecurity. Like I felt, everybody thought I was just a mess, even though that's what I worked so hard to build. That ended up being such an insecurity of mine, which kind of did the opposite of what I wanted. Like I tried so hard, I got there, and then I was like, wait a second, I don't want to be known for this, even though I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, right? For the record, I always enjoyed your messiness on stage. But
Thank you.
you are an artist, and it was always fun to watch you. But it was the partying it was what took away from me. Like, I was always just like, I know how beautiful Peter is. I know what great taste Peter has in clothes and music and performance and stuff.
Yeah.
I just was, the Peter I love is the Peter that I've known the last few years, that is just
Right.
relaxed and a
I'm
little
so
more comfortable.
happy to hear you say that because I felt, well, like when I first started pulling away from that community, I did feel invisible. Like I felt like there was
Hmm.
like a light that switched off. I wanted to be more serious and people just weren't interested. And I've been sober for like like almost 2.5 years in December. And
That's amazing.
I'm only just now like feeling like starting the podcast, for example. I'm only just now being like, okay, maybe there is still something special about me that I should share with people, and it's separate from that. But it took years, like at least 2 years of me to like really sit with myself and like unpack what had happened and what was real and what wasn't, and what is it about me. Because before I started drinking and doing drugs, I had that drive. I was performing my entire life. The club
Yeah.
scene kind of shook it up and pushed me back out and kind of confused me. But yeah, I think sobriety has helped me get more clarity about who I am on a fundamental level. Because, the club scene is crazy. And I think fame would do the same thing to people. Money, you get
Hmm.
to a point that you're celebrated for a small part of who you are. And then you're like, oh God, how do I
Well,
maintain this?
that's a brilliant point. A small part of who you are, like that is like, who I found really inspiring on All Stars this year was Jujubee, talking about
Ah,
sobriety. Because here's someone that from the get-go has been one of my favorites. I've always loved her infectious personality. And you think someone, and you realize after the fact, you're like, wow, they've been struggling with something for so long. And then to be able to go out, first of all, I think sobriety is one of the greatest things. I haven't had a drink of alcohol since like last October, and it's not even
Nice.
a like that it was ever an issue. It was just that I came to realize it was like, oh, I don't have to have a drink
Yeah.
when I'm in these societal places where I feel pressured to. I was like, oh, like I can just have one if I want, and I've never want. So it's been really like I never really enjoyed it. I always just kind of did it because it was what you were supposed to do. And I was like, wow, this is great. I don't need to.
I I think it's so important that people talk more about that because there is this you when people hear, and I was like this, when you hear sobriety, like I'm sober, you assume, oh, like maybe they had a problem, maybe their life was out of control. But sometimes like you just choose to stop, and it's
Yeah.
okay to like just not drink.
Yeah, like I still smoke weed and I still microdose mushrooms like 3 or 4 times a week, but that's more of a medicinal.
Oh,
It
yes.
yeah, she works at
Plant
making a
medicine.
home. Yeah, it's true. Oh my God, if it don't
Yeah.
come out of the ground, I don't want it.
Okay, so I wasn't going to talk about this. Well, I mean, I'm not hiding it, but I did ayahuasca like when did we do ayahuasca? Like a couple weeks ago. And actually
No.
my sponsor from when I was in AA, they, maybe I shouldn't be talking about his story because it's anonymous. Anyway, somebody that I knew was sober for a very, very long time in a strict 12-step program and had been contemplating doing ayahuasca. And there was a huge struggle, obviously, because it's mind
Yeah.
altering. And what's going to happen? Are they going to do ayahuasca and immediately start drinking? And he did it a few times. He had a profound experience. He was already pretty deep into his spiritual life. So I wasn't surprised. And I actually encouraged him to do it because I didn't think it was going to be a disservice to him. And as soon as he did it, he was like, Peter, you got to try it. Like, you're a spiritual person, you're interested in it. I think you would really, really like it. And I thought about it. And the timing didn't really work a few times, but because of COVID, we ended up doing it, and it was amazing. Like, I had a really profound experience about love. I had one of those things that people talk about, like really, really profound. And we did mushrooms as well during that
Oh
weekend.
wow.
Yeah, and it was again
Did
like
you guys
I mean,
have like did you have supervision, like sober supervision while you were doing it?
yes. So there is the shaman who gives you the medicine, and then
Okay,
there's
so you went
yeah,
to a specific place for it then, right?
yeah. It was in Canada. Like, I didn't fly anywhere.
Okay.
So I mean, the shaman is Canadian, but he comes from, I don't remember where he comes from. But yeah, he's been doing it for a long time, and his whole family, like the wife is there, and his teenage sons, like they all kind of
Amazing.
help you out. And because I was the type of person where if I smoked pot, I went crazy. I did a lot of hard drugs, but I could never handle pot. And so I was
Yeah.
apprehensive about the whole plant medicine thing. I'm like, no, I kind of think that drugs are drugs. But now I'm like, there's no way I would use ayahuasca or mushrooms compulsively. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
No.
not the same.
There's a reason that like we're finding such success with the research, especially with PTSD, depression, anxiety, all those kind of things with these natural plant medicines. Like that's the thing. Like they're just natural. Like I don't want to get started into the whole how the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want things like mushrooms and pot and ayahuasca to be the answer for some people, but it is definitely something. I'm scared to do ayahuasca, to be honest, because I know that you have to do it a few times. You really do have to like work through some stuff. I've heard some really great things. I've heard from two friends of mine that had horrible experiences
Oh God.
and know that they have to go back in and have been like putting it off and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's one of those ones where, but I don't look at those kind of things, depending on your level of addiction, depending on your level of sobriety, as something that, like obviously to anyone listening, talk to your sponsor because I'm not it. But they are things that have helped me. I started microdosing with mushrooms 4 years ago, and I can like even still like I'll go 2 or 3 weeks without a dose. But we're talking like the smallest little dose, and it just is like I call them a breath mint for your soul.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
add
it.
that.
It's just I used to take them and then go swim laps. But when Jared and I were laughing one day because he was like, "Oh, how was your swim?" I was like, "Oh, it was great." He was like, "I often expect to see security footage from the pool leak, and like in your head you think you're doing laps, but you're just doing pirouettes the whole time, like
Oh
just
my
synchronized
God.
swimming by yourself."
Oh, that's so funny. When you microdose, is it like you're literally just eating a little piece of the mushroom, or are they like pills?
I have them. I have pills that I get made
Okay.
for me, but like my dosage is 0.12 of a gram. So to like get high, you're
Wow.
having like 1 or 2 grams. So it's a very small amount. You like my pupils don't dilate. Like you can't really tell. But sometimes if I want to have like a good night, or if we're out at a party, because I have anxiety for like social anxiety and stuff, so I'll take 1 or 2 doses to just kind of level me out. But they're minuscule amounts,
Yeah.
but it
Do you,
stays with you for a couple days.
okay, so you would take a little bit in the morning and then it would last for like 1 or 2 days and you would feel
Yeah,
just less anxious?
yeah. For me, it takes my anxiety way down. It just and it helps with my ADD because I take medication for my ADD that can be a little speedy. But if
Can I
I
have some?
don't take, yeah, if I don't take it, then I'm a nightmare. So it's kind of finding the balance between the two. My doctor knows about the microdosing. Like I'm very open with her. She thinks it's fascinating because I took her a bunch of studies and I was like, hey, this is what I'm going to start doing, but I think it's important that you know about it. And she read the studies and stuff, and she's like, it's really interesting stuff. Like UBC is doing one right now with mushrooms that I tried to sign up for, but I've got too many other issues. They were like, no, we need clean slate.
I think there will be a time when people look back at like this point in human evolution and being like, wow, I can't believe like those types of medicines were illegal and criminalized. Like they're
Right? Like they've been
so
around
not.
thousands of years.
Yeah,
Thousands of
yeah.
years. Yeah, it's wild. Would you
You
do it
mentioned
again?
I would so okay, ayahuasca like so you we did it 2 nights in a row. So I've done it twice in total. The first night I did 3 cups. And the first night I would describe it as like my mind completely snapped, not in a bad way, but
Yeah,
it instantly in an instant changed my perception of what was possible, what reality really is, and the way we perceive the world on a day-to-day basis is so far away from what you experience in ayahuasca. So I think the first night was just like there is more to this universe and this world than you can possibly even understand, and our little human brains cannot try
amazing.
to, because you just see colors and shapes, like you can't even really describe it or draw it. I've looked on Instagram to see if I could find a visual, and I see artists trying, but it's really hard to articulate. And then the second night, I got a really clear message of love, and the message was love is a universe, which sounds so fucking cheesy, but it was the most profound, simple message of, you know, how fear, first of all, is a planet. Like if you engage in fear, you're basically letting an entire planet's worth of energy into your body and into your world. And it was scary. That at that point of my chuma, they call it, not a trip, I was
Yeah.
scared because it was like I would describe them as insect type things, and like an entire
Mm,
sky worth of like the energy of fear, whatever visual you would associate that, like leaning down into me. And I was like, why are you showing me this? And they're like, because we want you to understand what fear is. It's a physical thing. It can kill you. It can hurt you. And then in an instant, I was like, okay, I understand that. Then it was like, but love is a universe. And it was like, it just like my whole body was like shivering because fear was big, but love was bigger. And I was like, oh my God, it's a
amazing.
choice. I can choose fear. I can choose love. And so
It's
I left feeling really, really inspired by that. So I don't have the need to do it again. I think I'd be open to it, but in some time, because it's fucking intense. Like it's not like
like
going to a
physically,
party.
it's physically exhausting too, right? Like,
Yeah.
were you ill?
I threw up. I went to the bathroom. It was uncomfortable. You're sleeping on the ground. Like there's music.
Yeah.
It's just like the opposite of a good time. So anybody who's like, you know, I had a problem with drinking alcohol and doing cocaine. I can't do ayahuasca, honey. You're lying on your back in a basement. It's not like being with drag queens in the back room and, you know, kikiing. It's completely fucking different.
Yeah.
But
How how long were you in the tuba?
Yeah. So I would say the first night it was, I mean, really hard to get a concept of time, but I mean, a few hours for sure.
Okay.
Evan was beside me and he was trying to crawl out of the high. So like, he was like, yeah, on his back, he was like laughing and screaming. And he was trying to crawl. It was like fucking really, really, really intense. But
Wow.
yeah,
That's really
wild.
wild. Like, for you guys to experience that together but separate as well, like that.
Yeah.
It's something that I don't necessarily know if Jer and I would do it together. I don't think Jer would do it in general. But it's yeah, that's pretty special. That's pretty wild.
It was great. Yeah. I would say to anybody who wants to try it is just to like try not to have any expectations because some people don't. Like we went with another couple and one of them didn't feel anything, literally did not feel a single thing. And then some people have like incredibly traumatic experiences because you're bringing up things that maybe you haven't dealt with or that you've forgotten. So anybody who does it just needs to prepare and make sure you don't have to go to work. Like you need some
Yeah.
days to like you're not
Yeah.
hungover, but you're settling.
Yeah, oh for sure. It's
Yeah.
funny though when you were talking about or about describing like the universe and seeing things how much bigger it is. Because I still once or twice a year will take a large dose of mushrooms. Like even Jer talks about it all the time. Like before when we first started dating, he went into the woods by himself and took a large dose to see if he wanted to, like further the relationship and all this stuff. But I always call mushrooms like, how they say we use 10% of our brain? I always call mushrooms the 11th percent because it's like it just opens up a little door, to be like, oh wow, like this is a lot brighter and prettier and colors are more vibrant. I'm really passionate about it. It's definitely something I'm gonna one day tackle. Maybe I'll do it the same day I skydive.
Oh my God, please don't do it while you're high on ayahuasca. You're just like that. And like for you, because you mentioned you have anxiety and I have anxiety too. And I feel like plant medicine does tackle those issues on like a spiritual level. And I think that that's where those frictions come from anyway. Like I feel like they offer a kind of help that I don't know if Western medicine has yet. I don't know.
No, and it's funny, like I don't wear like my anxiety is very hit and miss, but I don't wear it as a negative necessarily. I when I have anxiety, I try to go. It makes me have a conversation with myself every time, going, okay, why am I anxious? Like pre-show anxiety was a different thing, and that was, like I always. Especially, when as a performer, one of the things my dad really drilled into me was, like you've got to respect your audience because, there's a couple that has waited all week and they've hired a babysitter and they've come down there, they've paid, $60 to get in, they're getting drinks, they're taking a cab home. Like you owe it to them to be your best. And it was always like those kind of anxieties. I don't have control over that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I just want to be my best for the audience and for myself. But then there's other anxiety, like, just sitting at a party and having to talk to strangers. I'm like, okay,
oh my God.
why like, it's just one of those, like that's when I go, oh God, like a drink would really make this a lot easier. But then I become this loud, obnoxious guy that just takes over the party. And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy anymore. Like I want to just be able to, like talking to you, like actually you and I have to say, like, there's no reason you and I should have connected.
Totally.
Everything about our lives is completely different. But other than the fact, I think if you being Albertan might be what, like I think we've got similar senses, but I was always comfortable wherever we were, just having a little kiki and chilling out.
Ditto. Yeah, I always interpreted that as like a fellow dreamer, kind of like people understand what it's like to be out there and really, man, it can be lonely, like following your dreams and really putting everything into making it come true. And I think whenever I found somebody that I interpreted was doing that, I just felt like I could let down my guard because like, oh my God, this is fucking hard. Isn't it? Like this is
Are
crazy.
you as miserable as me?
Oh my God, it's so true. I was reading your Wikipedia. Um, and one of the things that I remember you when it was happening was the talk show when you did the pilot or you filmed a few
Oh yeah,
episodes.
we
That
filmed
to me is like that is like
the
I
dream.
oh my
Yeah,
God, a talk show?
that one broke my heart. That one really
Uh
broke my heart.
can you
It's
tell me about that? Like what was how did that come up? What was it like filming it? Like I would just want to know more about that experience.
it was it was a very exciting. I think it was 5 days. We filmed in Winnipeg of all places because there was a comedy festival, the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, which was another one that was really great to me right from the get go with my stand up and giving me the CBC would tape something there every year. One of the producers for the production company out of Toronto, Sean Watson, who I just love and adore, and he just took a gamble and he was like, you know what, I want to do something for CBC with you. I think we could do this talk show at the same time that we film Winnipeg because we'll have like it was a very like who's who of Canadiana. Like we had
Oh,
Alan Thicke and Caroline Ray.
yep.
Um, Sean Cullen. I'm like literally I think we interviewed everybody at the festival. So there was probably like 20 comedians in total. And it was called
Oh,
The Skinny with Darcy Michael because I had just
I
lost all this weight.
know.
And
Uh,
the set, I think there's even like if you go on YouTube, you can still find
oh, I
like
should do
a
that.
teaser clip. I'll find it, I'll send it to you. But the set was gorgeous. And it was one of those things where like the first day we were filming, all the producers there was no live audience. It was just me and the guest sitting in a chair, just bullshitting and just being funny and having the time of our lives. I had a director in there and three camera guys, and the director and the three camera guys and I just got along so well that I was just after the first interview, it was really stiff and I didn't enjoy it. And I just looked at the producers and I was like, why don't you guys fuck off for the week? Like, why don't you just let us do this and see what we come up with? And they did. They left. And I was
What?
like, what? And then we proceeded to film a ridiculously raunchy, over the top show that had no business ever being on CBC. I think today we could have got it made. This was in 2012.
Yeah.
I think it would have lived online beautifully. I still think it would have. My dream is to just I love talking to people and like just talking to strangers, like in the sense of like I say that unless I'm at a party, then I don't want to talk.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
get that. I get that completely. Yeah.
I like learning about people's lives and also just like talking to other comedians. It's like good jazz. You can just riff with each other. Fuck, I haven't thought about that show in years. God damn it, Peter, that's gonna stick with me all day.
It's
It was
cool.
really yeah, it was really fun. If I was getting annoyed or bored with an interview, I would just pull my knitting out and I'd just sit there and knit and be like, but like we have footage. Like Alan Thicke, I talked to him about like, what do you think Kirk Cameron masturbates to? Because
Oh my
Kirk
God.
Cameron's like this crazy like born again Christian and stuff, and the answers like Alan was having a good time. It was like I grew up watching Growing Pains, so that was one of those moments where it was like I can't believe this is happening. Like same with like working with Jason Priestley. I've worked with him a couple times, and I'm like I literally like grew up watching Beverly Hills 90210. So
Yeah.
there's been so many, and like I did a sitcom with Dave Foley for 2 years, and Kids in the Hall were my child.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Like
true.
uh, so it's like, but the show was definitely one that when it didn't go through, it hurt. But I had also like in 2009, I filmed a pilot for Oprah that didn't get picked up, and at the
Excuse
time,
me?
Jaron, it was when OWN was just launching, and so they
Yeah.
were throwing money at everything, and they were trying to see like throwing money at shows and seeing what sticks. So we filmed this like 15-minute teaser that where like I spent 2 days filming it, but it was edited down to 15 minutes. But it was the concept of the show I didn't come up with. They just wanted me to host where I would go and live with unique families for a week and learn about
Ah.
them and stuff. And the family we lived with was amazing. It was a Iranian family where, you know, like in Iran, the dad was a doctor and the mom was a teacher, and he or she was a cashier and he was a taxi driver, but their daughter was queer and was one of the first to start the underground railroad for queers in Iran to get them out and stuff. And it was a very emotional experience filming this and stuff. And I remember coming home and saying to Jer, like, you know, because I cried on camera this one moment that was really heavy and hard. And I remember saying to Jer, I was like, Oprah's gonna see this, and she's, you know, we're gonna get the kiss, like this is it. And then 2 months later, I found out that Oprah hated it.
She hated it.
Yeah,
she hated it.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know if she hated the concept, but I definitely know that she wasn't.
You know what? As Oprah knows you exist, that's good enough.
But
for
like
me.
what happened back then, they were trying to launch so many shows, so they would edit like a 30-second demo of each show, and it was just like, nope, yeah, nope, yeah,
Yeah.
nope, yeah.
The industry's crazy.
It's wild, but yeah, you know, like, so it went from the Oprah one to that talk show, and while I was filming the second talk show, the CBC one, this other director came to set and he was like, you know, we've written the script, we think it's going to go ahead. There's a character that I actually based off of your stand-up that I think it's like this straight acting gay guy. I'd really love to have you read for it and stuff. And I was like, okay, great. And I literally, like, he left and I had taken the scripts and just kind of put them down and forgot about them, never even looked at them because I was so busy with the talk show. And lo and behold, 6 months later, I find out the talk show is not going ahead. And the next day the phone rings and it's an offer to audition for the sitcom.
Oh my God.
And then I auditioned for this part written for me and I didn't get it. I had like 10 auditions for this part, didn't get it, went and did like network chemistry tests where I was with the other actors that were hoping to cast. And so I found out I didn't get it, and then like a month later, they called and offered me this super small role in the pilot episode where my character had one line, and I was like, well, like, yeah, I need the money, I gotta take it.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the shooting the pilot, he ended up being like full-time cast member, and so I just, you know, it was just it's a weird thing where like you think you're so focused on the target that you don't see the periphery of what ends up being the target. Like, of course I'll do a sitcom. Like, of course that'll be amazing. Of course I'll enjoy it. But, you know, like I was so like the talk show is my way. And then it ended up being this other thing. And then it all went to shit. And it was
2 seasons, right?
We did 2 seasons, yeah. We got canceled, not because of ratings. We got one of our co-stars got in trouble. It just ruined the show.
What?
Yeah, there was, one of our, I don't necessarily know many of the details because I purposely stopped paying attention to it. But he was arrested for voyeurism, and he was arrested for voyeurism like 3 days before we were supposed to premiere after the Super Bowl. And so the network pulled the premiere episode and held us until the summer because they were like, no, we don't know what's going to happen here. And I totally respect the network's decision because there were victims involved, and we have to, you know, like, I think that's further victimizing by putting them on TV. But then they just buried us in the summer, and then just we just knew we weren't coming. You know how I found out we weren't coming back? I saw an advertisement for a wardrobe sale from the show, and I was like, well, if they're selling our wardrobe, I guess we're not coming back. Yeah.
Oh God, that sucks.
But it's an interesting
sweet. Like, after going through all of, like, I mean, talk about an emotional roller coaster, like filming talk shows, Oprah, sitcom. First of all, if somebody writes a part for you, why the fuck do you have to audition? That's what I want to know.
57 other people that have to decide. And the guy that ended up playing the part was brilliant, and I would have never done it the justice that he did. The character I ended up playing was perfect for me. It was just a total simpleton, and I loved it. I fell in love with the character so much that I mourned losing him more than losing the show, which is a weird thing. Like, just because when I would play that character, I'm like, wow, like there's just a simple happiness in my brain when I've got this silly character's clothes on. But Yeah, it's a weird thing. It is, but it's a roller coaster, man. Like there's
Yeah.
so much rejection.
I was just going to ask that. I mean, oh my God, the life of an actor is so much rejection. And I mean, what is the percentage of people who even get on to these regular gigs? Like,
Oh
it's
my
like it
God.
has to be 1% or less.
Oh
And
yeah.
the audition process alone, I mean, you can be an amazing on stage and then get into a room with a casting director. I've seen actors who I never thought were that good, but fucking really good in the audition room. Book. And it's such a crazy industry because there's connections, there's how you
Hmm.
look, there's if you're a strong auditioner, like what do you
I'm a
think?
horrible auditioner. I'm
Oh, you are,
especially
because I
right
was
now.
gonna, yeah.
Yeah, well, because right now everything is being done remotely, right? So you have to, it's all self tapes. And I'm good getting into the room. Like, put me in the room with the
Okay.
casting director and the producers and the director, and I'll book it. If it's just me filming at home with Jer or my friend Jane reading, it's like, how do it's way
You
harder.
can't get the energy. I heard the opposite from a friend of mine who's a young actor, and he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy everything's going digital." I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess it would depend. I mean, if you've got a great relationship and rapport with casting directors, then I think you want to be in the
Hmm.
room with them, right?
Well,
Like
for
you want
sure,
to,
like
yeah.
didn't you work for a casting director in
Yeah,
Vancouver?
I was an agent for like a hot minute.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was an agent, and that was another weird thing because I was like, I can't be famous anymore. I need to stop completely. I'm going to be an agent. And I had I had so many connections in Vancouver, so I literally was like, I'm going to be an agent, and I was an agent the next day. All the casting directors knew who I was. I got actors in the room.
Yeah.
It was really, really fun, but man, it was a hustle, and I like hustling. That was not the I don't know. I didn't like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard.
It's, yeah, you are a hustler though. I don't have
Yeah.
that in me right now. I think it might come back, but for now, I'm like, there's something about, I'm a house husband right now, and
Yes. The Real House
yeah,
Husbands. That's your new
right?
show.
Yeah, no, I actually am. I'm starting. I'm working on the production side of a show for Amazon
Oh,
in a couple
cool.
weeks. Yeah, it'll be fun to just try something different. Like, I just want to put a different hat on for a while and see if I enjoy it.
I think that since you've done so much recharging and you're feeling so settled, there's going to be a whole new wave of opportunity. And like, just like the sitcom was, it might not be what you expect, but it's going to be fucking cool.
That's
You
what
know?
that's what I keep thinking, especially because I'm like, okay, if I can just exist for a bit in my own happiness, then what more do I need if I'm happy? But also maybe an opportunity is going to come that I wouldn't have seen before when I was so hyper focused. So I'm just kind of, taking the blinders off and stretching into the sunshine as I dive
Exciting.
headfirst into the ocean. Yeah, it's good.
Before we wrap up, I want to know what you think about all this Ellen drama.
Yeah, I've heard some things for a long
I
time.
have heard some
Uh,
things too.
yeah, and like, I think when you become a successful business, Ellen is a corporation. Ellen has she's got a lot of people that she's financially responsible for. There's a stress there, 100%. I fully get it. There is also something to be said that she literally brings daily joy to people, so I don't want to discount that.
Yep.
Like, I know there's a lot of people that I know that watch Ellen every day that are actually quite hurt by the
Oh,
allegations and stuff, but at the same time, there is, if you treat people poorly, like my dad has always said, if you want to truly see who someone is, see how they treat someone that they deem less than. Like, he always said, see how they treat a waiter, see how they
yep.
treat a waitress or a cashier, because that's their true colors. And it's the same thing. You always bring it up. Look at their shoes. Like, if
Look at
like,
the
look
shoes.
at
Look
the
at the shoes. Look
shoes,
at the shoes.
look at the shoes, because it helps explain stuff. But like, yeah, it sucks. I wish that. Oh my God, what's up? Hey. That's the most interaction Evan and I have ever had in person. He's gonna
Really?
chop
Have you
up.
not met in person?
I was depressed and got myself muffins because I had a hard day.
You got gluten-free
Gluten-free,
cupcakes.
tasteless, no taste.
Oh, I'm
cupcakes.
celiac, so I fucking gluten-free is all I know.
Oh, these
Yeah.
are pretty good, actually. They're pretty not good. Hi.
What brand is it? Oh yeah, no, I've had those before.
Yeah, it's a pretty
Those
good
are
one.
delicious. Are those
They're like
chocolate and
$15 for
vanilla?
4.
No,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
pure
whatever.
vanilla. I'm as vanilla as you can get. Like,
In every
I
way.
want no taste. I want like just sweet, no texture.
Okay, but like, do you eat a cupcake? Do you take the bottom off when you eat a cupcake, or do
No,
you
I'm
just
not top
like
of the muffin. I'm no Elaine Bennis, but I do cut it in half.
you cut it? Okay, that's all right.
Mhm.
My husband takes the bottom off and puts it on top of it and like makes a little sandwich.
Oh, so that's even beyond like the Seinfeld episode that I'm thinking of.
Yeah. No, I just take the bottom and throw it away. I'm all top all the time.
I'll
And
top
then
all
you
the
have
time.
nowhere to put them. Not even the homeless will take them. So it's
Oh my God.
a true story.
Editing that out. Okay, bye.
He looks good. He looks good.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Ellen drama?
People said the same thing about Oprah, that she was a nightmare, that she was difficult to work with. And I guess people weren't as surprised to hear that about Oprah, because Oprah I guess she was selling self-help before self-help was such a commercialized thing. But I mean, okay, to watch Ellen every day, and if you believe that for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Ellen is dancing and happy, then you're not really using your brain, because she's a human fucking being. And I think maybe this is because I'm creative and I do know comedians personally, but there is something to be said about being happy for a job, or not being happy for a job, making people laugh for a job. That is going to take away from your personal energy, what you're doing behind the scenes.
And
I
think as comedians we're broken. I am the first to admit I have hurt people in my life. I have been horrible to people in my life, and it is something that you have to be aware of, like self-awareness. And I really try to treat everyone well, but sometimes emotion takes over and stuff. So I'm not saying like Ellen can't be bad to people. I think the real issue from what I've read is how she allowed her staff, like her other superiors, to treat the rest of the staff. There's some really bad stories that have gone around for a long time about a couple of the producers, and like she had to have known. And that's where I think as a leader she let people down. But yeah, if Ellen wants to get bitchy with people every now and then, then that's fine, but it's a fine line. I respect the people that have come out and said things, because I've heard it for a long time. But I also, like as someone who looked up to her, like when I was in high school, we had a secret coming out party in my buddy's basement to watch the Ellen episode, and none of us were out at the time, and it was such a big deal. So I have a lot of respect for her, and she took a lot of hits for the team. So I definitely don't want to see her get canceled, but I'm very interested to see how she addresses it
Me too. And there is a way to address it and be completely honest. And she is, I hope that she finds a way to address it and be authentic and apologize and move on, because you're right. I mean, we have to let these fucking icons be people. Like, they are human beings. And I think being a celebrity these days is like not anything to be desired with cancel culture and social media and the instant access. And it's just like the witch hunt. Who's going to be the next one to make a slip? And I hope that she navigates it, but you're right. If there's things that are happening behind the scenes that are not good, it needs to come out and it needs to be addressed. And hopefully she can come out victorious, because, she's a fucking lesbian. She's been killing it for so long. We need powerful queer people out there. So I hope that she comes out on top.
The nice thing is, if she doesn't and they need a body double, you're available.
Annie. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Darcy. It's been like, as soon as I started my podcast, I actually wrote a name of like 10 people and you were on the list. I just wanted to make sure that I knew what I was doing first before I was like, I'm onto my show. Like I've done interviews like things cut out, Zoom isn't working. It's just like mortifying. So I think you came on a good time because I feel like I'm in my groove.
No, great. And you had my buddy Lainey on.
Lainey, oh my God. I've never heard somebody talk so smart about gossip in my life.
She's
like,
brilliant. We met at a bar at a CTV event years and years ago and ended up just sitting in the corner of this bar chatting for the night. And I was fascinated with her. And then I think, I actually have a framed photo of her in my office because I did the View, or not the View. I did the social last year. I guest hosted for a day, and just her and I had so much fun.
She is so, and you know, she got back to me right away because I was thinking about people who could speak to pop culture in a way that was just a little bit more elevated than I love celebrities. And she was so, I mean, I would love to talk to her again for like hours and hours, but she was so open and she was so experienced, obviously, and really fucking educated. And I felt so proud to have her on and super special. She was great.
No, she was great. And she doesn't follow anyone on social media. And I think that is a power.
Beyonce, hello.
Yeah, hello. I love you dearly.
I love you too. Thank you so much. And I hope that I get to see you soon. Are you coming out east anytime?
I'm not going to come out this year. I'm going to ride out the wave in Vancouver. I might have to come at the end of the year, like December-ish, for the Amazon thing, but I'm trying to touch a bit from here. So we'll see. I'll let you know though.
Yeah, and if I'll probably be there at some point, so I'll let you know because I'm always there, and I haven't been to your fucking farm.
Oh my God!
Your house in the hills.
There's a guest room with your name on it.
Honey, okay, I'll talk to you soon, honey. Thank you so much.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye.